to the growth process, the vision of respecting integrity, where we explore the values that shape our communities and lives. My name is Sam Farkas, and today we're investigating the most influential and transformative values of integrity. Integrity isn't exclusively honesty, but instead lining up with our deepest principles and values. Our first episode, I'll share my journey with integrity, personal experiences with this value, and my vision for the future. This episode will feature two special guests, two people who know me the greatest. Our two guests are my dad, the owner of Belleville Pet Hospital, located in South Euclid, Mr. Mallon, my interventionist for the 23 to 24 school year and the upcoming 24 to 25 school year. My dad's been a guiding force throughout my life, and Mr. Mallon has done so much for me to succeed throughout my sophomore year and hopefully my junior year. I hope you feel inspired, connected, and empowered by the end of this episode. This section will discover the true meaning of integrity. For starters, it's a multi-phase concept that it goes beyond the basic definitions of adherence and honesty to moral principles. It's about being true to oneself and and being in line with your values, actions, and beliefs. Here are some aspects that define the actual meaning of integrity. One of them is wholeness. The word integrity derives from the Latin word integer, meaning complete or whole. Thus, integrity is about maintaining a sense of unity and wholeness within yourself. It implies an integration of actions, values, and words that create an authentic and cohesive personality. The second one is honesty. Honesty refers to telling the truth, not engaging in deceitful behavior, and maintaining transparency. Honesty can help build trust and credibility with other people. The second is moral courage. Integrity requires moral courage, the willingness to stand up for what's right, even when you're facing pressure or adversity. It includes making tough decisions that align with one's values, even when they're unpopular or come with personal costs. And additionally, there's reliability. People who practice integrity are seen as dependable. They're dedicated to keeping their commitments and promises, and others can rely on them to act predictably and consistently in accordance with their values. Then there's accountability. Integrity revolves around taking responsibility for your decisions and actions. It encompasses owning up to your mistakes, learning from experiences to improve and grow, and making amends when needed. And lastly, there's the idea of ethical behavior. It encompasses ethical behaviors in all aspects of life. It involves making decisions that are respectful of others, just and fair, and avoid actions that might hurt or take advantage of others. In the end, it's about being true to yourself and maintaining alignment between your beliefs, values, and actions. It's a quality that can foster reliability, respect, and trust, and also moral courage, accountability, and honesty. Living with integrity means striving to be your authentic self. This next section will discover how I incorporate integrity for those around me. There are many ways that I use to achieve integrity in school. Academically, I always keep the trait of honesty in my work. This means that I avoid cheating. I complete exams and assignments independently without using unauthorized help. Cheating goes against my learning and breaks the trust that other people place within me. I also I also cite sources properly, whether I use information from books or websites or articles. I always be sure to give credit properly to the original authors. Plagiarism is a serious breach of academic integrity. And then lastly, and most importantly, I always do my best. I put my best effort on projects and assignments. It demonstrates respect for my education and the hard work of my teachers. And responsibly, I'm always sure to meet deadlines. I submit my projects and assignments on time. Whenever I'm struggling, I always openly communicate with my teacher rather than using excuses that aren't feasible. I always own my mistakes. And when I make a mistake, such as performing poorly on a test or missing an important deadline, I always acknowledge my mistake and take steps to improve further. I always learn from past experience and promise to do better. Socially, I show respect for everyone around me. I'm considerate and respectful towards my classmates, the staff at Mayfield, and the teachers. I avoid bullying, gossip, or any form of disrespect. I also like standing up for what's right. If I see one of my friends getting bullied or being treated differently, I always seek help or speak up from a trusted adult. Supporting others, it does the right thing. Supporting others and doing the right thing is a key aspect. I'm always sure to build trust by being reliable and communicating honestly. Being reliable means following through on my commitments, whether it's doing my part in group projects or following the school rules. I always show that I can be trusted to keep my word, and I always be sure to communicate honestly. I'm always truthful with my interactions. If I can't meet a commitment, I always explain the situation honestly rather than making up an excuse. There's always group activities that are assigned regularly. In group projects, I make sure everyone does my fair share of the work, including myself, and encourage my group mates to do the same. It makes sure everyone benefits and learns from our experiences, and I reckon from the experience, and I respect the differences. I value other people's contributions and opinions of my group members, even if they're different and they might not work. Collaborating with integrity involves being open-minded and active listening, and I also sure to display effective leadership. I lead by example. If I'm in a leadership position, I'll be sure to model integrity through your actions. I can teach others what it means to be respectful, honest, and responsible all at the same time. And I can encourage integrity by foster an environment where integrity is practiced and valued by promoting open communication and ethical behavior among your peers. Practicing integrity in school, to conclude, it involves mostly being responsible, honest, and respectful in all the aspects of my academic and social life. When I contribute to these principles, I'm not only building a strong personal character, but contribute to an ethical and positive school environment. It's important to remember that integrity is a continuous journey of self-improvement and adherence to my values, no matter the circumstances I face. Coming up next is the interview of Mr. Mallon, who believes in the idea of incorporating integrity in his professional and personal life. Okay, the first question is, how would you personally define integrity, and why do you believe it is an important value in both personal and professional contexts?
All right, so for integrity, I think of the old saying, do what you say and say what you do. So you kind of follow through on what your responsibilities are and what you say you're going to do. I think it's important because it allows people to trust you and depend on you. If you don't follow through with your commitments with integrity, you let people down, and that leaves bad feelings, and people have bad feelings about you, and so they don't want to be around you, and you don't have responsibility. But it's got a bigger purpose where society works better if people follow through on what they say. We need to be able to trust each other in society, so it's got a larger purpose as well.
Yeah, could you provide a specific example from your personal, professional life that illustrates your definition of integrity?
So in a school, we have a lot of initiatives and missions, tasks where things work better if kids know what to expect. And so if we all implement an initiative with integrity, it makes it easier for kids to know what's going on, and they will be more successful. Like if we did, I've had times in the past where we did a grading and assessment initiative where everyone had to grade a certain way. And if everyone had integrity to that system, if they did it with, consistently, the kids would do better, and school would work better. You want to pause it while
Oh, it's fine. Did you provide more examples from your professional life, or you can do a personal one?
Personal one, I think having integrity with my kids, it makes parenting really a lot easier, where I say hey, I don't want my kids to feel confused about what the rules are, and so and about what my role is as a parent. So if I follow through on what I say with the rules, or if I follow through on my commitments to them, they learn to depend on me, and they trust the world around them a little bit better.
Oh yeah, do you have another one from your professional life, or is that it?
I think similarly with my students, if I tell them, hey, I'm available this time, or hey, I'm gonna hold you to these expectations, it would be confusing to them if I didn't follow through on that. It'd be frustrating if I didn't show up for an appointment, and it would be confusing if I didn't hold them to really high expectations. So I think that applies to integrity.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Being late, being on time, it's something I'm really good at, and it's a huge responsibility to be on time, because if you're not on time, it wastes everyone's time. Mm-hmm. And my second on the other hand, how do you incorporate lessons about integrity into your work with your students?
Oh man, nothing directly, but I think the closest thing is kind of what I said before, where I hold kids to really high standards, and I don't back off on that. Where for instance, I'm not going to make an exception in the school policies just because I don't feel like it. So I try to enforce the cell phone policy, try to enforce behavior policies, and I try to, because I tell kids, I know you can live up to this, and so I follow through on that, and I think that applies to integrity.
Yeah, have you ever made an exception to the school rules before?
Yeah.
When?
Probably more than I would admit, but I always follow that up with a rationale so kids understand, just to try to keep my integrity and the integrity of the system.
Yeah, since you don't incorporate integrity directly into your lessons, do you ever think about incorporating integrity indirectly?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I do, just like the little side conversations I have with kids, but nothing directly. I don't teach lessons on that.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I think it's something kids should learn on their own when they're older. Like, it's something that you'd be taught, but I could totally understand why you wouldn't teach integrity directly.
I agree that it's something that kids should learn, and I wish we had better conversations about it, because a lot of times I think it's a really important part of society. I think about maybe social media where kids will say something, or people will say something because it's kind of anonymous, and they think that integrity almost doesn't apply. And then if they were, directly faced with the person that they were talking about, like if you were insulting someone on social media or something, and then you were faced with the person and actually met them, maybe you wouldn't have said the same thing. And that kind of, to me, has to do with integrity, where, I wish more people understood that and thought about integrity on a
You
regular
wish
basis.
people could understand the weight of what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I say some stuff, I always think about I never seem to think about the weight of my words, because some words just do more harm than what you're intending to do.
Yeah, it's part of growing up, man.
Yeah, the brain, I'm still growing. It takes time. It feels like that you shouldn't be expected to finish the process of this young of an age.
Mm-hmm. And what's
Mr.
fascinating
Bell.
is that not everybody gets to that point, and not everybody develops that, and so people sometimes maybe have a harder time with things like integrity.
Yeah, and for the follow-up question, looking back at the behavior of high school students, what strategies do you use to encourage students to reflect on their own values and behavior?
That's a great question. I try to be honest with kids. I try to talk to them directly about how their decisions affect me and how it affects their classmates. And then I follow that up with the clarification of hey, you're in a safe space here. You're still growing, like you said. And this is the place where you need to make mistakes and learn from your mistakes. And that's how you build integrity. It's kind of an issue of wisdom, life experience, right?
Yeah, so what is wisdom exactly? Isn't it life experience, or how would you put it?
Well, not just life experience, but being able to reflect on the life you've lived and think about how your decisions impact others. I think that's wisdom.
Yeah, what are some examples from the past, where you've encouraged students to reflect on their own values and behavior?
I had one student where he just will say whatever comes to his mind in the middle of any one sentence or anything else, and it's part of how his brain works, but in order to help him, I try to talk through it with him of reflecting, hey, would you be frustrated if someone interrupted you? How does that make you feel? So I try to help them project and help them take the other person's position, frame of mind. That's usually what I do to talk through that.
Yeah, wasn't that a few years ago, or a student?
No, this is literally one of my classes right now. That's just what comes to
Yeah,
mind.
you're really professional at handling things. I'm working as a camp counselor this summer, and I'm supposed to handle things, and I have to act professionally.
So my advice, Sam, not that you asked, but to try to go into every situation with empathy. Try to go into every situation thinking, how would I want to be treated if I was in that situation? And that's a tough thing to do. That's part of growing up, is learning how to take another person's perspective, walk in their shoes kind of thing. How would I want to be treated? Why did that kid do what they did? And be as understanding, as empathetic as you can, and know that you're not always going to fix every situation the first time.
Yeah, for the follow-up question, can you share an example of a student who successfully made amends and rebuilt their trust after a mistake?
Ooh, trust in, like, rebuild my trust in them,
Yeah.
or trust within the student.
Like anyone would work.
Man, I don't know. I can't think of an exact example. Because it's never something that's obvious. It's never a day and night flip the switch situation. It's usually something that takes one big mistake can be an obvious shift, right, where you lose trust. But then to rebuild trust, it's slow. It takes time. It's gradual. It's not something that you can just flip the switch on, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like.
So it's hard to pinpoint a specific example because it's something that just happens slowly over time.
Yeah. Do you have a specific example though?
No, I can't think of one right now. Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. Like I've made mistakes and I've rebuilt trust pretty quickly. Like I remember when I was a kid, when I was about to get hired, my behavior started to slip because of my seasonal depression, and I was fortunately enough to rebuild. And I said to the directors in the interview, I said to one of the camp directors, I said was that that it takes time. Trust the process.
Yeah, I think that's a good attitude to go into it with.
I feel that. Well, I could totally understand why you forgot to bring up an example, why you can't remember an example.
It just takes time.
Like, it takes a lot of time to think about, and after something bad happens, we just sign off on it and be done.
Well, and you could also have a situation where maybe someone would say, okay, I forgive you, but that's not really earning trust, right? That's just like in a recognition of I'm going to move on.
Yeah.
But rebuilding trust takes multiple interactions. So what else you got?
I think that's it. Thanks for the questions, Miss. Thanks for interviewing Mr. Mallon.
Absolutely, Sam. Sam, you ask really nice follow-up questions. Good job.
Yeah. From the interview with Mr. Mallon believes integrity is important because it allows people to trust and depend on you. He says that if you don't follow through with your commitments with integrity, you let people down and it leaves bad feelings, and people have bad feelings about you. There's a bigger purpose if people follow through with what they say. That's one of his quotes from the interview. From this interview, I got a few points. One of them is building trust. First off, integrity fosters trust. When people see that you consistently follow through on your commitments, they're more likely to believe in your reliability and dependability. I also got straightening relationships out of this. When you demonstrate trustworthy behavior, it strengthens your relationships. Whether it's in a personal or professional context, people prefer those who are reliable and keep their promises over someone who is dishonest and is never consistent. It also another benefit for yourself that many people don't know is keeping your word and acting with integrity. It fills yourself with pride. It lines up your actions with your values, which can be very rewarding. It can create integrity, can create a positive environment. It contributes to a respectful and positive environment where everyone is happy and on the same page. When everyone follows through on their commitments, it reduces conflicts, disappointments, and misunderstandings. I practice integrity personally and professionally in a variety of ways. Practicing integrity as a high school sophomore is crucial for personal development and building a solid foundation for future personal and professional relationships. Here's how I practice integrity both personally and academically. Personally, I always tell the truth. Whenever I'm talking with other people and myself, I always be honest with myself, even when it's the most difficult. This helps build trust and respect the most. I also admit my mistakes. Whenever I make a mistake, I accept my responsibility. I apologize and learn from the experience rather than making excuses. Two more things I like doing is being true to my values. I identify the things I believe in and make sure my actions reflect on those beliefs from time to time. I also like keeping my promises. I always follow through on commitments, whether it's a promise to a friend or a responsibility I must do at home. Lastly, in order to achieve personal growth, I always set ethical goals. I strive to improve myself in every aspect of my life that enhances my integrity, like being more honest or reliable. And I always try to stay true to myself. I don't let kids tell me to do dumb stuff. I don't let peer pressure lead me to act against my values. And professionally, as I prepare for my summer job, I think I'll practice on being dependable. I'll promise to show up on time for what time I need to work, meet deadlines, and complete the tasks as the directors tell me to do. Consistency can help build trust with my employer, and if I promise to complete a task or help a coworker, I'll make sure to do it. Personally, I'll ask for feedback and from my coworkers and my boss to improve my performance. This next clip is with Mr. Roscoe, who I interviewed about the topic of integrity and how it is used in her life as an intervention specialist at Mayfield High School. This interview will investigate how integrity is practiced personally and professionally, and from a teacher's perspective. Okay, the first question. How would you personally define integrity, and why do you believe it is an important value in both personal and professional contexts?
Okay, I think integrity means that you are someone who stands by your word. I think it's someone who is dependable. I think it's somebody who is truthful, honest, and somebody who you can count on in good times and bads.
Yeah, like is this both for personal and professional context?
Yeah, because personally, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's say I have a friend, right? I want a friend who has integrity. I want a friend who I can trust, who I can depend on, who I know will be loyal. Now, that also though leads into a professional part of the word, which is, can my coworker be dependable? Can my coworker be truthful? Can my coworker, be like a stand-up person? And I think that integrity is important in your personal life as well as your professional life.
Oh, okay. Can you share a specific example from your experience where demonstrating integrity had a significant impact either personally or professionally? How did this experience shape your understanding of integrity?
Okay, remember a couple weeks ago, we lost a fellow classmate, Cal.
Yeah, Cal Clark.
Yes. And do you remember, Sam, all of the students and teachers went outside while Kale's family drove around the campus. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay.
It feels like ages
I
since
know.
that happened.
Just a few weeks ago. But let me tell you something. This student body had total integrity and respect. Sam, all of the kids out here, and I know you were out there with me, were so quiet and respectful when Kale's family was driving by. And that was a long procession. That was probably 10 minutes we were outside showing respect to Kale and his family and friends. And the integrity that the students showed was amazing. You know what it showed me?
What?
That our students are amazing here and awesome. So that is a great example to me of integrity, because every student who was out there had integrity for Cal.
Yeah, I only met Cal like one time, but
That's okay.
but I've heard a lot of great things about that kid. I heard he was a nice guy
Yeah.
and he was happy throughout his battle with cancer.
Yeah.
It's something you don't see every day.
Absolutely, Sam. So that was a perfect example of integrity.
Yeah, reminds me.
You included.
Yeah, like I'm sort of feel sad for the camp director's dog because he died on Saturday because he was very old and had health problems. So I'm still sad about it, even though it impacts me less directly.
But you still feel sad for him.
Yeah, I feel sad for the camp director, for
Yeah.
Dave himself,
I do
because
too.
he's the owner. Everyone loved him. And going back to the interview,
Okay,
can
yeah.
you provide another example besides Cal?
Sure. Okay, well, just now. I know that this is a podcast, so people can't see, but I'll explain what just happened. I was sitting at a table with a student who's going to be working for me in the summer, and she asked me to help her schedule some days to work, right? And you were sitting there, and another student, and you and the other student were waiting for me patiently, and you were very respectful to her. And you guys showed integrity. You showed that you were giving her time with me, even though you needed time with me as well. So that's another example of
Yeah,
integrity.
that's a great example,
Thanks.
a very good example. And my next question is, like, as an intervention specialist,
Yeah.
what steps do you take to ensure that integrity remains a central focus in all aspects of your practice?
Sam, that's an amazing question.
Yeah, it is.
I'm serious. Okay, I would say as an intervention specialist, it's important for me to listen to the students. Everybody needs something different at all times. And I need to make sure that I'm showing each and every student respect with how I'm talking to them, with how I'm, reacting to them. And I need to make sure that I'm showing them integrity because I hope that they show me the same.
Is that it?
I think so, yeah. for
Yeah,
now.
and can you provide an example of a specific policy or procedure you've implemented to promote and maintain integrity within the school environment? How do you ensure that everyone understands and adheres to these standards?
Okay, well, I'm just gonna talk off of school rules, right? This is my first year here, and I came into the school with new rules like you guys did, right? With the cell phone, with the hood, with the book bags, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have been enforcing that rule just as every other teacher has throughout the school year. And I think that's a way to show integrity to our administration, to show that we respect and we will follow those rules that they have given to students, and that we will do our best to maintain them.
Yeah, didn't you used to work at Millridge?
Yes.
Yeah, I was there too a few years ago, but I remember a lot about that school. I wonder
know.
what it's like there now.
Well, Sam, just now, the seniors all went back to their elementary schools in their cap and gowns. So you will be doing the same in 2 years. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Seriously, you're gonna go to Millridge in your cap and gown, and you're gonna say hi to all your old teachers. and they're gonna clap for you, and they're gonna cry, and they're gonna be so excited to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
it's fun.
it feels like that. Like they're probably they'll probably see someone different than they used to.
Yes, I think they will.
Just feels like, like 2 years can't come soon enough,
Well, buddy, enjoy it.
but it will. It will come fast.
It's fine.
And then my last question, accountability is often closely linked with integrity. How does your class hold itself accountable for maintaining high ethical standards?
Sam, these questions are really good. I like the word accountable, and I like when people are accountable, because I like to think that I'm accountable. Everyone's accountable for their actions, right?
Yeah.
You make a choice, and there's either a consequence for it or a reaction, right? So any choice you make, there's going to be another choice to make, and another choice to make, and another choice to make. But I would say, in order for my students to be accountable, I would say they need to continue to turn in their work. I know that this particular project is taking a lot of imagination with students, and I know a lot of students are confused by it, but at the same time, each student is accountable to create a podcast that best fits them. And you're doing a great job at that.
All right. And the last question, a follow-up question.
Okay.
Like, can you share an example of a time when you faced a challenge in upholding its ethical standards and how you addressed it? How do you ensure that lessons learned from such instances are integrated into ongoing practices to reinforce accountability and maintain integrity?
Woo! That's a big one.
Think you can answer it?
Can I read it?
Sure.
All right, what's the question, bud?
It's this one right here where my cursor's
Okay,
at.
can you share an example of a time when you faced a challenge in upholding ethics? Yeah, okay, so, okay. A couple weeks ago, there were students in my classroom who did not like each other, okay? And they started to argue with each other. And I sort of agreed with the one thing that the student was saying to the other kid, but I didn't show that because I can't show that as a teacher, right? I can't pick a side. It's not something I would ever do, and it's not something I ever should do as a professional teacher. So I needed to sort of like remind myself that, okay, Mrs. Drosko, you're the teacher here. You need to handle them. You need to de-escalate these students, and you need to get them back on track. But it was hard for me, Sam, to not want to agree with the one student because he was right with what he was saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and how do you ensure that lessons learned from such instances are integrated into ongoing practices to reinforce accountability and to maintain integrity?
Okay, I think it's important to hear what the students, are interested in learning. And also, once assignments are turned in and they're graded, we're able to see growth, and we're also able to see different areas that need strengthening. Therefore, okay, well that's it. All right.
Therefore what?
Oh, therefore we're able to create more engaging lessons.
All right, thank you for the interview.
Thanks, Sam.
Yeah, you got it.
All right, bud. Awesome.
Nice. Integrity can be applied and understood in various other contexts beyond honesty. There are additional reasons where integrity plays a crucial role. First, integrity helps in building trust in relationships, whether it's professional or personal. People are very likely to trust and rely on someone who always demonstrates integrity. Second, integrity can enhance a reputation. A person or organization with a reputation of integrity is more likely to be admired and respected. Integrity could lead to better opportunities, a positive public image, and partnerships. Third, integrity is crucial for resolving conflicts effectively. When parties involved trust that each side is acting with integrity, it is easier to find mutually agreeable solutions. And lastly, integrity can influence leadership. Leaders who demonstrate integrity can inspire and influence others. Their actions serve a model for others to follow, fostering a culture of ethical behavior throughout the organization. Man, I've covered so much in this podcast. I hope you liked the interview with Mr. Roscoe. And now the podcast seems to be quickly coming to an end. Thank you very much for listening to my podcast. I covered so much in this episode, from how integrity has played a crucial position in my life, how I used it appropriately in professional and personal settings, and what it can do besides being honest. I hope you feel inspired by this episode, and as always, have a great day, and I hope you liked it.